Top of the morning to the people out there rocking and rolling. It is Friday. It is Rise and Grind. It is DRS in the morning. It is time to have fun. I see my guy Craig Jones out there. He's showing out there. Good morning to everyone. Another winning day yesterday. Boy, making money yesterday in the car was kind of tough, but settled on it. As you saw my late tweet in the afternoon, we're going to go plus money on 2 different ball games. One game worked out, one game didn't, but you still were able to make money on that. That's the way you get down to business, people. That's how you get excited. And by the way, this is the last Friday that won't be called a football Friday. Next Friday, we're going to have college football on Saturday. So be able to go full steam ahead and punch in those tickets even more. But after yesterday, just looking at my handy-dandy totals, 1-1 picked up $20 yesterday, which is enough for a pizza, which is fine. Upped our yearly total since June the 20th to 17.39 units of profit. One Monday, one Tuesday, one Wednesday, and one Thursday. So, hey, Friday's payday. Let's look for 5 straight days this week, cashing in tickets all the way across the board. Totals kicked my ass yesterday. I'm telling you, some spots were tough. Like when we go over the card in the morning, the thing I love about it, again, is why I come on at 7:30 a.m. and say, let's go over the card and circle games that we think make some sense. And you get some time to think about as the day moves on. Then you see some of the lineups a little bit later, and you're able to focus. And also, I hate taking sometimes early Major League Baseball because I'm just sometimes superstitious with that. But it worked out in our favor yesterday. But yes, yesterday was a tough day to make money overall in the numbers, but somehow we found out the way to do that. I think if you bet every game against the Reds the remainder of the season, you'll be up decent money. How about that, Bill? Yeah. Christ almighty, man. That was a lot of runs scored, wasn't it? But today we got one afternoon game, a lot of night games, and a lot of spots to look after. So welcome in. And by the way, guys, thanks so much. I know a lot of you guys watch on different social media outlets, but on YouTube here, up to 981 subscribers. So every single day that is growing higher and higher. I want to get to 1,000 subs by next Friday before football season. Be great. And again, I don't ask for much. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, say hello. Catch up on social media. That's fine. And trying a couple different things today also out here. Let me just see if this is popping true. I'm just scrolling through a couple of the outlets that were live on at this point. I tried to do something on Instagram, but I don't even know if that actually works. Reels stuff. I'll check after the show's over. So no need to slow the train down. But I usually watch through YouTube here and then obviously on my return feed that I have up here rolling and ready to go. So let's get to some of the action today. And as I said, full Major League Baseball slate. First game 4:10 Eastern. Final game tonight at 10:10 Eastern. If we're looking at that pitching card that you know we like to get down to right away, I have 27 pitchers today rated on my card. Once again, last 60 days, minimum of 20 innings pitched to give us a good look. And I got to tell you, there are some outstanding Sierra numbers on this card for pitchers today. And you know when we look at it at first, guys, we don't necessarily love that because we want to beat up on some bad pitchers. There's only a few real bad pitchers on the card today. Now, I always go over the bottom 5 pitchers. Matthew Boyd, dead last. Freddie Peralta, Hayden Wesneski, Tanner Gordon, Eduardo Rodriguez. That's 27, 26, 25, 24, and 23. Now, when we look at usually the bottom 5 of a 27-man card, you're looking at probably an xFIP of 115, 117 in that range. That's not the case. Eduardo Rodriguez, 105 xFIP minus. Matter of fact, 25 out of the 27 pitchers for me today have 105 xFIPs or lower. We don't like to see that. So then we got to start taking a look at some extenuating circumstances and bending some rules, which you know we don't want to do. So let's focus here today on the 2 worst pitchers on the card. I have Freddie Peralta and I have Matthew Boyd. So if you saw the thumbnail coming into the show today, it was Matthew Boyd on that card. Now, yesterday, do you know what the worst pitcher on the card technically was? Shane Bieber. Had a pretty good start yesterday. The man right in front of him got absolutely lumped up, and that's why we were able to take down some plus money yesterday using some alt team totals. So let me grab my handy-dandy book here, and we're going to get down to some business today. So why don't we start on that focus of bad pitchers, Matthew Boyd and Freddie Peralta, as we said, bottom 2, maybe a chance to sort of fade those guys. But let's take a look at the top of the lineup here. Jacob Mizorowski. Fading that guy at all today? Good luck. xFIP number, xFIP minus, 45. Chris Sale, 54. Did you know those two guys are pitching against each other today? By the way, what is that total? Let me just go over real quick. 6. 6 is that total in that game. Jesus Luzardo, Philadelphia Phillies, 62 xFIP minus. Cam Schlittler, New York Yankees, 68 xFIP minus. Joey Cantillo, Cleveland, 73. So you have 100 or less on the xFIP number, which means you're pitching at least at average to above average as a pitcher the last 60 days. Sean Manaea, New York Mets, 18th. So you have 18 pitchers out of 27 that are average, which he is basically with that number, or above average as a pitcher. Now, if we're looking at some of those Sierra prices today, they're outrageous. Mizorowski's 1.84. Chris Sale's 2.33. Schlittler's 2.70. Luzardo's 2.71. Sean Burke is 2.92. You have 5 pitchers under a 3 Sierra today, which is incredible. Highest Sierra on the card today? It's Matthew Boyd, Chicago Cubs. How about that? So why don't we get to that game start and see what we have? So anybody out there, any questions? Did you look at the card today? Are you ready to fire away? You're waiting to see how the day plays out? Did you enjoy some NFL football last night? But let's get to Matthew Boyd here. 5.03 Sierra number. Let me just exchange those for xFIP minuses. He's at a 120. So he's clearly the worst pitcher on the card analytically here. However, he does have a 3.25 ERA. Interesting stuff. So if we go to, let me see, what time is he going off today? Let's see, scroll through. Where you at, Boyd? Boyd. What? Now, hold on. There we go. Oh, wow. Late night tonight. No wonder I skipped over it. Chicago Cubs, Seattle Mariners. Boyd versus Hancock. BetUS opened overnight minus 107, minus 103 splits. And we still see around a minus 105 pick'em split across the board. Total at BetUS is 7.5. Total at FanDuel is 7.5. 8's across the board. DraftKings, BetMGM, and Bet365. 7.5 to 8, depending on where you're shopping at on that total. So if we take a look at the game script and we go all the way late night tonight, Boyd's last 30 days, 137 batters that he's faced. 197 is the ISO power number against, 336 weighted on base percentage. Both of those slightly higher. He's been very good, guys, on the season against lefties, both last 30 days and full season. But right-handers, that's a different story. You look at the 263 right-handed batters he's faced on the season, that ISO goes to 195 with a weighted on base percentage of 335. Let's go over to the last 30 days for a little recency bias. His last 137 batters he's faced, a 197 ISO and a 336 weighted on base percentage. But you say, well, that's high. But let's take some things out, guys. 41 left-hand batters that he faced. By the way, it's bad strikeout number, so the ball is going to be in play, which is always a good thing. He's got an 057 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 291. That's elite. That's lefty on lefties. Left-handed pitcher going after left-handed batters. Let's flip it over to what makes more sense, though. Him going against right-handed batters. The last 30 days, he's faced 96 of those batters. A 253 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 356. That's our attack spot here at this point here. I think Cal gets the Boyd tonight. I mean, Cal ain't getting to anybody lately at this point, but Cal from the right-hand side going up against Boyd. It could be one of those spots you can get back. Do we love the lineup tonight for the Seattle Mariners? No. Do you love the hitting environment necessarily? Not really. But if we are looking, once again, it's a shame too because Dominic Canzone, he's pummeled left-handed pitching over the past month. But he is a lefty. Josh Naylor's done very well against lefties, but he's a lefty. So sometimes you have to sort of say to yourself, all right, Brendan Donovan, lefty to start the lineup. Let's take those guys out of the equation. Arozarena, very good statistics as a righty. Julio Rodriguez, not so good. Ward, not so good. Cal Raleigh, again, switch hitter. High ISO power number against lefties. Not a great weighted on base percentage and a huge K rate. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. It's not a great lineup here today. Yeah, exactly, Craig Jones. It's not a great lineup. But if you do have the worst pitcher on the card, that's always going to be one game that we were writing down. So let's go number one here on the card today. and it's the Cubs versus the Mariners. I just like to write the time down there, 10 p.m. It's going to be a late night tonight with the thought process on the M's team total. Now, there are a couple RBI guys, as I said, a Rosarania makes sense. Lineup doesn't look great. And again, we're saying that morning, first time I join you live. What's up, Anna K? M88. Welcome into the show. It's a Friday. It's a perfect day to come over and hang out and see what's what. Let me just take a look at Chicago's side of things. Emerson Hancock's on the mound. His numbers, all right, a little bit different. He's got a 101 xFIP minus, which isn't one of those numbers that you want to peg. 2.72 ERA over the past 60 days, 4.16 SAR, so it's a little bit high. As I told you, this is going to be a tough card all the way through. It is. It's going to be a tough card. I know, we're going to get there, Cray. We're waiting to get to that Peralta matchup. We'll get there. So let me just write down that Cubs game and see what happens. So let's go back to the card. Freddie Peralta, second worst pitcher on the card, and really one of the few fade spots that there is a possibility. So let me just check mark that Chicago game. And now let's go up and take a look here at Freddie Peralta. Going to be going up against Tampa Bay. Or excuse me, he's with Tampa Bay, excuse me. Going up against Rogers and Baltimore. Line on this game, minus 126 overnight on BetUS. Still sits at minus 126. Minus 126 at FanDuel. Minus 124 at DraftKings. 135 at MGM. And 126 at BetUS. So not a bad price either way that you're looking for. 8.5s overnight at BetUS. They've shrunk to 8 there. But there are other outlets, FanDuel 8.5, DraftKings 8.5, and also Bet365 at 8.5. And then you have BetMGM there sitting there at 8 as well. Let's see what we got going on. Let's flip it over. So that's a 7:15 start, and we'll get to some of the batting statistics now as we go. All right. So we will start. Yeah. I see what you're saying, Cray. I see what you're saying out here. Let's hit it. Last 30 days for Freddie Peralta. He's faced 81 batters. If we're looking at the splits, low K rate, which we love, which is why those analytical numbers are high. If you're striking out guys and not walking them, your analytics are a really good chance they're going to be low. ISO against through those 81 batters, a 205 and a weighted on base percentage of 378. Both lefties and righties are hammering him. Same way I just take a look at Matthew Boyd in that last game, right? It's like, okay, well, he does give it up to right-handed batters, but does very well against lefties. Equal opportunity chance to blast Freddie Peralta. You're probably going to get that tonight. So let's take a look at the Baltimore Orioles lineup as it presents itself. And lefties and righties will be available because Freddie Peralta can't get out lefties or righties here. Jackson Holiday, decent weighted on base percentage. Pete Alonso, very good numbers over the past 75 at-bats, even though he did get robbed of a home run the other night. Gunnar Henderson, very good numbers. The young catcher there, Basallo, 535 weighted on base percentage, which is incredible, but it's only 3 at-bats. Kobe Mayo, 244, little mayonnaise. Beaver's not good numbers. Tavares, high ISO. Cowser, very good numbers, but a high strikeout rate, don't like that. Poso, catcher, 200 ISO. Lower weighted on base percentage than, obviously, Rogers, the pitcher, who's not going to bat here. So, yeah, I like it. I think we're in the mood for some action in this game. Flip it over to the other side. Rogers, left-handed pitcher, struck. Boy, man, damn it. Tampa's got terrible numbers against lefties, don't they? So here we go. Number 2 on the card today. That would be, let me just scroll up and make sure I have the time. That's 7:15. Tampa on the road versus Baltimore. And that circle is the Baltimore team total. So there you go. So if we're looking through those first 2 games, right, and we want to get some advantage here, what do you got, Craig Jones? I'm comparing the pitch mix from Peralta to the Orioles the last 10 balls in play. They look awesome. I'm telling you, they do. That's a very good, that's one where we can feel comfortable writing down. Like, we're always going to write down the worst pitcher on the card because that's just the way it falls out. And also, you take a look at a much better hitting environment in Baltimore than you would in Seattle. But if we are, let's just do some numbers here early in the morning, too. Because, again, I don't like to necessarily give wagers out in the morning, but I do like to give a feel for where we might be going a little bit later in the afternoon. So let me just take a look at that 7:15 game and go to a couple outlets right now. Just want to see if we have the alts up. Some books don't have the alts up, some do. All right, so usually Bet365. Let me go there first. They'll usually have those alt numbers up. So let me just see what I got here. Bet365. Let's see what we got here. So we will go baseball and hit the drop-down box, team alternate totals, and we'll slide it down. So 7:15. There's Tampa and Baltimore. All right, and the focus, again, is going to be on Baltimore. The first plus money number comes up because 3.5 is minus 160. It's expensive. And you saw it yesterday. If you were just taking regular lines, we'd end up losing money yesterday going 1-1. But since we did the alt lines 1-1, both sides plus money, we made money there. It's definitely to your advantage. Like one game on the card that you like, you might just want to go with the juice because you can win one game, harder to win two games. Going 2-1 easier than going 3-1 on a 4-4. I've explained that before in the past, what I like to use here. Do you use Pickett? Super easy to find the best number. Not necessarily. I don't, Craig Jones. I usually just have a couple books that I look at that I know are usually the lowest that I use, and I just go off of those numbers. Like you get that feel for which books juice certain numbers and certain type of indicators there. That's what I go off of. But is Pickett an app? Like, do you have to log into that? I don't really know if I use that there. I like the whale hat, Donnie. Yeah, baby. Got a couple of the Vineyard Vines hats here. I got to get a cut. By the way, since I wake up in the morning, again, I'm not in the shower. Like, I haven't shaved. That's why we just come right down into the studio, grab an energy drink, and pop it on and go live. Got to get a couple more hats here. Not really too big of a hat guy because I'm usually doing my hair and, on the show and stuff, but get a couple new hats this weekend so we can roll them through. Juicy RBI numbers, absolutely. Yeah, I might check out Pickett to see what they got going on. Because, like, when I'm in the NFL season, like, I'll sort of lay it out and where I'm going to get the best touchdown props, the best, there are a couple things that I like to use on those. Yeah, I'll check it out. But anyway, 4.5 is that alt team total. Just that I'm looking at this morning on Baltimore, it's at a plus 120. So I'm just going to write 4.5 plus 120. And then again, there might be other outlets out there with higher numbers. I'm just using this as a backdrop that I know it's out here at this point. So let's go back to the nightcap as well with the 10-10 start between the Cubs and the Mariners. First plus, see, now this is, again, 3.5 minus 120 is in that game. For the Mariners, 4.5 is at a plus 150 price. That's enormous. So I'm just going to circle those. So let's just say we were playing it out, not saying we're doing this. Two of those games, plus 120, plus 150. You need one of those. It's plus money. You move on. See what we're doing there? Just an idea. Yeah, I might check to pick it out. See what it does. But then again, if you guys are just tuning in right now, welcome in. People watching the show, like and subscribe. Great stuff, but not a great card overall for hammering pitchers. But I do think Freddie Peralta versus the Baltimore Orioles might be the best spot on the card today. So 2 games, 2 worst pitchers, we'll pick those out. Now, we do have some other spots. Let me just go with Sierra numbers. Skill Interactive ERA. What's the pitcher doing? Defense behind him. Whole thing in a melting pot. Analytical numbers. Works. Boyd's the worst. Peralta's second to worst. Bubba Chandler I have on the card because when I talk to you guys about sometimes where, bending the rules, which you don't want to do a lot, but there are some pitchers out there that are due to get hit. I'm not saying, and we don't have a lot of great ones today. Like you might have Nick Lodolo on the card, 99 xFIP minus, which is okay. It's actually above average as a pitcher. 217 is an elite ERA over the past 60 days. Sierra number 4.38. Like that Sierra number sort of operates as the true identifier of the ERA, if you will, just to put it in its simplest terms when you hear me use that. But you got Boyd again. Like, look at Boyd, 3.25 ERA, Sierra 5.03. He's due to get smashed. But you are pitching in Seattle. I get that. And you are going up against a lineup that doesn't really present itself fantastically against lefties. Change it up there. Freddie Peralta, he's also at a 4.66 Sierra. He has a terrible ERA. And then the 118 xFIP minus to go along with it. So Boyd's got bad analytics. Peralta's got bad analytics. Let me take a look at Bubba Chandler tonight, because he's going up against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And we're just going on Sierra numbers at the bottom of the card. Yamamoto's out there today. That's a guy that I don't want to mess with, right? 89 xFIP minus, 252 ERA, 388 Sierra. So it's a little bit higher Sierra than what it'd be with his ERA, but that's not the focal point. Let's focus on Bubba Chandler out there tonight. So I'm going to go to the Dodgers game. Another late night game, 10-10 out there at Chavez Ravine. Bubba's last 30 days. Now take a look at this. Let me just do some numbers on Bubba here. What do you got, Bubba? So we'll go Bubba Chandler. because he shows his last 107 batters that he's faced an 0.52 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 248. Very good against lefties, very good against righties. On the season, he does tend to struggle a little bit with left-handed pitchers. RotoWire last said what? Chandler 6-8 picked up the win in Friday's 8-4 victory over the Sox, allowing 2 runs, 4 hits, 2 walks over 5 innings and struck out 5. So I'm going to Bubba Chandler's game log now, as I just read to you those statistics from Boston. Mets, good start. Quality start against Milwaukee. Not a great start against Arizona. Very good start against New York. So he's actually had some pretty good statistics here coming in at this point. Now, let's see. What do we got? Oh, whoops. What happened out there? What happened, Dave? Let me see, Craig Jones. What do you got here? I just moved it from the last 60 days, last 61 days. Now again. Yeah, and then I'm telling you, it's a good that now. See, I like that because I love to be interactive with the chat box with questions that come through as if my co-hosts are out there helping me out and doing stuff. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I'll do the 60 days. And let me take it back 3 or 4 days. Let me take it back another 3 to 4 days. Ooh, you finally get the numbers you like. I know. I like that. It's a hard and fast rule of 60 days. But sometimes like, hey, man, he had that bad start. Can I include that bad start in there? Because that'll really sway me and I'll be able to take him out. But it is what it is. You try to stick to it as best you can. Bubba Chandler, back to him. Ohtani, great numbers, last 66 at-bats against righties. Freddie Freeman's got not a lot of power numbers, but a good weighted on-base percentage. Page's not so great. Muncy looks fantastic. It's an interesting one. But again, you're looking at his last couple starts, which have been good. Not a great lineup for those Dodgers, is what it is. But let me go over the card today, as sometimes we find some gems and take deeper dives with just some batting lineups that are actually presenting themselves very well, even if the pitchers are solid at this point. So let's do that. First game of the day, look, Milwaukee's going to take on Atlanta. Look, Milwaukee's got a nice lineup. They really helped us out. I had over 4.5 plus money. They hit it in the first inning. Those are always the best. Sale's got elite numbers. Mizorowski's got elite numbers. We ain't messing there. Hunter Dobbins on the mound actually presents himself decently, but that Phillies lineup has been hammering as of late. Not a lot of great power numbers, but weighted on base percentages are good and K rates are down. Outside of Schwarber and Realmuto, that's a pretty solid lineup in there listed. Phillies on a nice little 6-game win streak. See if they can extend it. 79-degree temperatures in Philadelphia. Jesus Luzardo, we're not going against him. He's an analytical absolute monster. Toronto and New York. Yeah, Arrighetti. I know it's where you're going with this one. Only 9 batters over the past 30 days. Minimum innings we don't really have. It's a spot you can probably smash him because he's been such a bad pitcher, from Houston, now over to Toronto. But as I said, you like to stick to it here. Stop spelling my name. So a lot of people spell my name wrong. D-O-N-N-Y, pretty popular. Went with the I-E. My pop's name always went by Don, so I would say Donnie to differentiate. It was always simple for me. Cam Schlittler, we're not fading him, but that is an interesting one. Like if you're just trying to bend rules and say, hey, just look at the eyeball lineup. It's not a great Yankees lineup, but Arrighetti's just a smashable pitcher at this point. Absolutely smashable, man. Miami and Washington. Lord is on the mound. Not a lot of innings, not a lot of statistics over the past 30 days there. Ryan Mucho Gusto, my guy. Giving up the runs. Not a lot of love there. Logan Webb looks great. Damn it, that Red Sox number looks great. The numbers look great in their lineup too, but you won't be fading him. Sonny Gray's got good numbers. Struggling a little bit with writing the batters over the past 30 days. That's a shame. If you had 2 bad pitchers in San Francisco and Baltimore today as they present themselves, that would have been fun in Boston. Just don't have it. Freddie Peralta, as we went over with the Baltimore Orioles, should be able to go ahead and have a nice little hammer time in that one. Trevor Rogers does get beat up a little bit by righties, but you have nothing in that lineup for Tampa Bay that scares me at all. So ain't no real need for that one. New York Mets and the Chicago White Sox. Minaya is on the mound. Not great numbers. I like those power numbers for the Chicago White Sox on a day-to-day basis. Maedroth, Murakami, Vargas, Grichuk, Montgomery, Doyle, all decent. Mets lineup has been looking better and better on a day-to-day basis, but Burke has really good numbers. By the way, it's like, hey, why don't we just fade Sean Burke? Burke's got a 2.92 Sierra today with a 2.14 ERA over his past 60 days. Yeah, we're not doing that. Atlanta and Houston, JT Ginn on the mound. Hayden Wesneski, not a great pitcher. But who's left standing in that lineup for the A's? Detroit and Kansas City. Jensen, Wick, Caglione, Salvador Perez, and even Vinny Pasquantina's got a high weighted on base percentage. Melton presents himself decently there. Noah Cameron, lefty on the mound. Doesn't look like Detroit faces lefties all that well over the past 30 days. Reed Detmer is going up against a decent lineup in Texas, but don't love that matchup. Mackenzie Gore, that slippery lefty out here. 26% K rate. Los Angeles Angels, who really busted out last night, by the way. You think they can do that again? I don't think so. Cleveland and Colorado, Cantillo's on the mound. I told you with Joey Cantillo. Let's go back to where he sits on that roster. 3.39 Sierra, 3.35 ERA. Go ahead, Joey. See you out there. Tanner Gordon. Here's the problem we have. You're in Colorado. It's 90-degree temperatures at first pitch. Wind's blowing in about 6 miles per hour. Great hitting conditions. If you look at Tanner Gordon, not a great pitcher, because he does technically struggle. He's season-long struggle. He's right in the pitcher with lefties. Damn it. That's where he's coming with a dilemma, guys. If you look at Cleveland, K rates are decent for the lineup. And where does Tanner Gordon stack up today analytically? Do we have him on this? Where are you at, Colorado? He's 16th out of 27. 4.75 ERA, but you really take that out because he pitches in Colorado, so you want to really focus on the xFIP minus numbers, which gives you the league average. And why did I just lose him on my card here? There we go. 105 xFIP minus, 412 Sierra number. It's not all that bad. But when we're looking at this lineup again, lefty and Kwan, lefty and Bazana, lefty and Ramirez, lefty and Lowe, lefty and Janau. Like, these are guys I'm not even watching on TV to remember what their pronunciation is. Martinez, oh my God. How about that? I actually have a roster for Cleveland tonight, guys, that is listed all left-handed batters. So we got, 9 out of 9 batters that could be lefty here. Damn. As my dogs are trying to bust into my office right now, as we're winding down. That's an interesting one. Any thoughts? Like I know we would like to look at lineups with thoughts. That is a horrible looking lineup numbers wise right now. Horrible. But if I'm looking overall and saying, where do we fit in? It's almost one that you want to bend the rules for, because you look at Tanner Gordon on the season, 172 left-handed batters that he's faced, an ISO of 302 against and a weighted on-base percentage of 403. But he has improved that over the past month. Damn. Yeah, I don't see it. It says, I see what you're saying. He's showing out there. Low and DeLauer. Let me just go to the. Do they have anything out there? Because I don't have them in the projected lineup. But again, those change on the day. But that's just interesting. How many batters in Major League Baseball can do that, though? Or how many teams? 9 left-handed batters in lineup. I'm telling you, I don't know where we're going to go with this. I don't know what we're going to do, if even possible. But boy, that is intriguing. So I'm actually going to write down the third game of the day. This is why I like to go over the team lineups. Cleveland versus Colorado, with a team total look at Cleveland. I don't love that matchup, I got to tell you. But whenever you get something that's an anomaly like you can do there in Colorado, now granted, you're not going to get bonuses here. Even if you look at that lineup and you say you don't love it all that much, you're not going to get a discount because the game is in Coors. Cincinnati and Arizona. You got, let's just see, a very good-looking lineup for Arizona. Taking a look here. Mav, come on in. Get in here. Come on. Can you get in? Go, get in. Come on. I said, you can open that door. I'm yelling at my dog. He's yelling at me over at the door over here. Yeah, that's what I thought, the loudest. I didn't see him in the estimated lineup here. Hold on, boys. I mean, any chaos goes on at this point where the dogs bust in to try to get the room. You know what's going to see what you have here. I know. I hear you over there. All right, so we'll try to continue here with the dog crying in the background until we get some help over at this spot, because I'm tethered in. Like, I have my my headset, my stuff all together at this point and see what happens. All right, so what else do we have here? Arizona Diamondbacks. So we got Minnesota and San Diego. And Prelip's on the mound as a lefty. Doesn't really present itself well. Musgrove coming back tonight. Can't really deal with that. We talked about Chicago and Seattle and Pittsburgh and Los Angeles. Dog already went out for a walk, busted in here. I mean, unbelievable stuff. It is what it is. All right, so let's wrap it up on a good note here. We got the Cubs and the Mariners as a possibility of a chance. We have Tampa and Baltimore, possibility of a chance, which I think that's actually the best game on the card, is the Baltimore Orioles lineup. And then we have Cleveland and Colorado. Possibility, because you're bending rules in that spot. But that's what it is. Yeah, they do need their screen time out here, those maniacs, 2 Springer Spaniels. But by the way, on this today, some changes to the programming here. I'm trying to get a little bit more out to the people and have some fun. Working on some things on Twitter. You know as well as I do. Myself and Jeff Nader, we go live at 12 noon on Crossing Lines. Next week, we really kick it off, man. It's football season, and away we go. Handicap Major League Baseball card there, get a better analytical look. We talk college football, we talk NFL, we talk hot topics. But I'm actually going to do a little pregame fun show before that. And it's just going to be on Twitter. So for like 15, 20 minutes, I have a separate system set up, little background look at it, just a hangout. Questions you have, things you want to talk about on the show, all that good stuff. Talking through some things, just having some fun, just a completely different look. So I want to get a little bit more out there on social media. I have a lot of toys to play with here. Football season's kicking off, which is why I wanted to start DRS in the morning. Just as a nice little feel to the morning. We'll talk more football as football season goes on, but obviously, you know, the focus right now is on Major League Baseball. But that'll do it for the show, guys. Awesome stuff. Thank you for watching. If you're new watching it live, new watching on the replay, thank you for doing that. Just hit the subscribe here. If you're watching through YouTube, on social medias, give me a follow, and we're going to get after it here. Absolutely, guys. Yep. Enjoy you showing that weekend here. Chat box, my guy Craig Jones. Who else? Going to get some shout-outs out here in this chat box. Let me just scroll up on YouTube. YouTube is filled up. Bill C. was out here today. Dave was out here today. Even some guys out there going through. I can't. It doesn't allow me to scroll up on this one. But I know there's a couple guys there shooting through on Twitter there. Love to see it. Love to do it, boys. Let's have a kick-ass weekend, man. We've won every single day this week.